This quote was by a Democrat. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the 32nd president. He was first elected in 1932. 1932 was the first of 4 terms. Now there is a 2-term limit with a maximum of 10 years. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was there is a second 22nd Amendment that was passed in 1947 and ratified by the states on February 27, 1951. The 22nd Amendment limits the term that elected president can have. He can have a total of 2 terms and a total of 10 years. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt was in office, he passed the Social Security bill. He also passed bills that gave heavier taxes to the wealthy. The reason I'm bringing this up is because the Supreme Court has given Ohio the right to purge thousands of voters from its voter registration rolls. In a 5-4 ruling, the United States Supreme Court has given Ohio a victory Monday on June 11th, 2018, in a fight for removing people from the voter registration rolls. This is a practice that the civil rights groups have said discourages minority turnout. If you're saying that happened in Ohio, well, you need to wake up. Already, about a dozen politically conservative states have said they will adopt a similar practice in Ohio if the Ohio legislation prevailed. These states are saying it will keep their voter registrations. They're doing this by purging the voter registration rolls, will keep their voter registration accurate and up to date. Of course, Trump cheered the decision, which in itself should give you cause for concern. In Ohio, about 7,500 people were wrongly purged from the list in the 2016 election. I wonder if 7,500 voters might have made a difference in the election in Ohio. A question I have is, if your name is purged accidentally, will you get your opportunity to cast your ballot? You know, they took names off and they're quick to do that. But if they took your name off and it was taken off incorrectly, what happens to your vote? I think that's something that we should all consider. If they take a person's name off, what happens to their vote? In some communities, the difference has been, as a matter of fact, that just one vote was made the determining factor.
Well, I have the bellwether state, and Ohio often a bellwether in national election, and has been removed thousands of people, as you were saying, who didn't vote for 2 years and didn't return warnings notice that didn't vote for a additional 4 years. The state was sued often. The 2015 year, when those who had not voted since Barack Obama was elected president in 2008 discovered they no longer was registered. And under the federal law enactment in 1993 and 2002, the state could not remove voters from the registration list. And because of failure to vote, they cannot, they can do so if the voters don't respond to their confirmation notice. See, what happened is when they do take them off to vote, and the reason they do is before they take them off, they claim they send a notice to them. And when the taxpayer don't respond to the notice, that's when they take it off. See, they can't take them off just because they didn't vote. The reason they take them off is because they didn't send anything to them.
They didn't reply to the letter that was sent.
That was sent to them, and then some of them they do respond and tell them. But like you said, now I researched and I didn't find out whether when a person come, evidently they don't get the vote.
And to me that can make a difference. If so, what if this is my question? So what if their name was taken off accidentally, and this person should have the right to vote?
When we voted the last time in California, they had a lot of people that didn't get the vote, and one of them was the ex-governor. And so what they did, they let them vote. They let them vote. They didn't let them vote that day, but they got some time somewhere else, and they got to vote because they when he went, they didn't let him vote. He had to research to see why he couldn't vote, and a lot of other people too. And so they had to make another date up and let those folks vote because I guess they wasn't going to take no for an answer.
And I don't blame them. In Ohio, 7,000, they have a rough estimate of 7,500 people were accidentally purged from the voter registration rolls. And so if they were accidentally purged, I haven't read anything that says that in Ohio, they made amends and let the people that were supposed to vote.
And see, if they don't say anything, just take no for an answer, then they don't get the vote. You have to fight for your rights.
Oh, that's true.
And so if you don't fight for your right to vote, then that's what happens. And so when I say Belfast bellwether, what that means is that one leader or indication trend, a trendsetter. So the when they say bellwether state, and Ohio is a bellwether state, and then they have a few others. I didn't look up to see.
I think Missouri might be one also.
Okay, and so that means that when and see another thing is when a person don't respond to the confirmation of the letter, then they may be to move to another address.
That's true.
And they don't get the notice. So
it could be any number of things. It could be that it just got lost in the mail.
Yes.
One of the opponents of the Ohio system, led by the A. Philip Randolph Institute, says this violates the National Voter Registration Act, which specifies that voters can be purged only if they ask, or if they move, or if they're convicted of a felony, if they're mentally unstable, or they die. More than half of the voters in Ohio failed to cast a ballot in over a 2-year period. This is wrong. It is not use it or lose it like a coupon.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go to the grocery store with a coupon, it expires. This is not a use it or lose it right. This is a right that we have that has been passed by law. This Supreme Court decision fuels voter suppression. They are trying to keep people from voting. And so then they have their select few that will vote the way that they want them to. Mm-hmm. And everybody else that is not voting the way they want them to, they're purging them from the system. My thought is if they're going to purge people from the system, then they should have something in place to where when a person is accidentally purged and it's not their fault, it's the system's fault, that person should be able to vote.
And there's a question of, are they doing both Democrat and Republicans when they purge? Are they only purging one, the Republican, or are they only purging the Democrat?
You really don't know.
You don't. It's a lot of things that, see, this is something I had no idea was going on.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but I did know that when a person that get arrested and convicted, I always wondered if they got a chance to vote. Yeah, their voting rights
for them. States, they're letting convicted felons vote.
Well,
because I
I researched it, and it has been a common practice in the United States to make felons ineligible to vote. In some cases, permanently over the last few decades. The general trend has been towards reinstating the right to vote at some point. And although this is a state by state policy, and the table, and they do have a table that you can look up and see which states is under different laws. Now, the Missouri state, the person that get out of jail and they are not, even if they've been sentenced, after they get in, they are not under parole, and they are not on probation, they automatically get restored and they can vote. That's, I know they can't in Missouri.
Have to re-register? Do they have
to register? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It said that. And also Missouri it was quite a few states with Missouri did this, and then they had two other different scenarios for the other two list of states that, but they almost every state did give them a chance to vote. They can vote. Whether they may know, I don't know if they researched it or
the
not.
Mindset I think for that is if they served their time, and now that they've served their time, they're trying to be a productive citizen.
Yes.
And they should have the right to vote, to make decisions about the laws that affect and govern them.
Now, I don't know what it used to be like, but whatever it was in so many decades, it has changed. They do get to vote. Yes. Yeah. And maybe it's a lot of people have came out and they know they done served their time and they are productive citizens now. So they give them a chance to go ahead and act like a productive citizen and do some of the things that they should be doing.
Sure.
And see, that's another thing. They think of a lot of ways that can keep people from voting. And so this was one of the things probably kept them from voting for a lot of years. And then somebody fought it, and you have to fight. You have to fight for your right to vote. If you use it, and if you don't use it, you're going to lose it.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, we're going to go and take a break. We will come back, and you have been listening to Senior Moment with Millie and CC, and this is KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, the Kansas City Global Community Radio Station.
This is KUAW with your co-host CC and Millie. KUAW, Kansas City's global community radio station. Our subject today is the right to vote. Let me just reiterate that the name of this show is Senior Moments. How do these changes affect you? We need to put people in office that will vote for our best interest. When you don't vote or can't vote, that is giving more power to the opposition. How many of you senior citizens depend on Medicare? Are you aware that a bill has passed the House of Representatives that is taking $487 billion out of the Medicare budget over the next 10-year period? You know, supposedly we got this big break where they've cut back on our taxes, but they're taking the money away from us with this having to put the money back for Medicare. If they take 487 billion out of Medicare, how is that going to affect you? That means that what you have, you're going to have to spread it farther. 487 billion. I mean, how many of you senior citizens depend on Medicare for your health care needs?
I'm wondering when will that take effect? Because, you know, hopefully somebody else can come in and change that before it start taking effect. You know,
because it's passed through the House of Representatives. Mm-hmm. It still has to go through the Senate.
Oh, it has not passed through
the Senate. But okay. It passed through the House of Representatives, and I didn't get the numbers, but the numbers were really close. All of the Democrats voted against it, and a few of the Republicans, and so it wasn't enough to balance to keep it from passing.
Yeah, and if the Congress passed it, but the Senate have not passed it, or the House have not passed.
The House of Representatives a bill goes to the House of Representatives first, and it is completely passed the House of Representatives. But see, now it has to go through the Senate, and so the Senate can revise it. And if they don't like what it says, then they can revise it, and then it goes back to the House of Representatives. So we still have a little bit,
couple of things to go. And they so far apart anymore, both sides, you know, they just so far apart that they are not even working a lot together. They used to work together no matter what. They got some young people and some so far to the left and some so far to the right, you know, that they just cannot get along with making the decisions of what need to be done for the people.
Nobody wants to compromise. They also, in this bill, they also want to raise the age that you are eligible for benefits from 65 to 67.
Oh, I think they already did that, haven't they? Let me see, 65. You know, if you retire, you have to retire at 66 now or 67.
Okay.
I thought, you know, before you can get your full benefit. And it depends on the age, you know. Right. And so
I'm not so sure about that, but I know that if it hasn't passed, that they're trying to.
Right.
And you know, they act like with Medicare that this is benefits that we're not due. For anybody that has worked, we've paid into Medicare.
Yes.
And so the government, and let me say, well, not necessarily Donald Trump, but they look at Social Security and Medicare as a great big candy jar.
Right.
And they keep dipping in and getting the candy.
Because the candy is there for them. And they just want to get rid of the candy because they can.
Because they can use it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one thing, too, with them, with the House of Representatives trying to send this bill, they have a set amount that when they take all this money out of Medicare, they have a set amount that each person will be eligible to get. And so my question is, okay, supposing this is a year maybe that you're sicker than you normally are. And so what if you go over that set amount?
You know what's going to happen, don't it?
Right. And so then by the same token,
dig in your pocket again.
You're going to have to dig in your pocket. So this little bit of money that they made such a big to-do over, you're going to end up using that and more. And then by the same token, what if you have a year that you were relatively healthy and you didn't use up all your money? Is that money going to be set aside for you for another time? And so to me, they're doing all these things. And my sentiment is, they're not answering enough questions.
And you know what? And I blame it on the voters.
Yes.
Us. Because we can get them out of there anytime we want to.
Yes.
When it's time to elect them.
Yes.
Again,
I agree.
We can, if we don't pay attention to what they are doing and what they are talking about, and what they will take from us, and what we have to go through after they take it, then sometimes we pay attention. They get our attention one way or the other. The only time they might get your attention is when you have to pay that large bill that you thought, well, I worked and I thought all this was going to be paid for.
Sure.
And I don't have, and how many, and you pay your co-payment, and then you got to buy your prescription. Then you got to pay the doctor. Well, what is Medicare paying for?
Right. And the thing too is, even if you don't have, to me, I with the Part D is your prescription.
Yes.
And I'm actually paying more for this insurance than I pay for the prescription. But the thing is, if you have a bad year where you have to get a lot of prescriptions, they will penalize you if you have to go back and get that Part D, which I think is unfair. If you don't need medicine, they're saying that this is a good plan and it's supposed to benefit everybody. But okay, why am I paying more for an insurance than I would actually pay for my prescription?
I know what you're saying, because with your insurance, with your dental, with your eye, with all the different ones that you got to pay for, and then you got Medicare Part A, Part B. You're paying for B, and you're going to pay for D.
Yes.
And what? And you have
to have
Medicare
it. Only covers 80%, so you have to get a gap insurance.
Yeah,
and so that's another
got that
bill
too.
Yeah,
another
bill
and
you
so
have to pay.
It's just that people that don't understand what they're going through don't know that they got to pay for all this. This gonna put a hardship on a lot of people.
Oh yeah,
they're gonna put a lot of hardship on a lot of people.
The one thing that this all boils down to is that we need to get out and vote. I think it's not good that people are on the rolls and haven't voted at least once in a 2-year period. But, all that's aside, we need to get out and vote. And really, we need to vote the things that are in our best interest.
Yes.
Because if we don't, they're going to take all of our benefits. We need to put people in office that, you need to take time and research the people that are running for these offices.
Yes. And if you start with the state that you live in,
right,
and make sure you're voting for people that are going to help you in your state, because every state don't have the same policies and the same rules and stuff. So you find out what your policy, your rules are, and vote for the person that you think going to help you. And when they have these different policies for you, then you got to read and understand them too.
Oh yeah.
And so they write them, a lot of them. So you got to read them over, and you got to research and see if you're thinking the right, because they can put that one word in there and switch it, and you be thinking one thing and then it's for another. So,
one thing that I would like to bring up is that with our recently departed governor, Greitens, a lot of the things that came up after he had this problem with the affair were things that had been brought up when he was running that people ignored. And so you really have to research the people that are running for office and go by your gut feeling. But we really need to vote. And if we don't vote, we pay the price.
Yes. And with Greitens, it was that they was writing in the paper about, I read a lot of things about him. I didn't vote for him, but still the Missouri put him in there. And he wasn't right when he started.
No, he was not.
Yeah.
He did a lot of undercover things.
Yeah. So I'm going to do spiritual moments. And the verses that I'm going to do is the King James Version. And it's John 14, 1-4. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it was not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive unto myself where I that where I am, there ye may be also. And whither I go, ye know, and the way ye know. And this has been Senior Moments with Millie and CC. And this is KUAW, Kansas City Global Community Radio Station. If you ever want to call in to the station to talk or leave a message, the number is 816-599-6892, and the email address 93. And the email address is kuaw985 at gmail.com. And the website, when you want to go to YouTube, tune in. Well, website is kuaw.org. Facebook is KUAW-LPFM 98.5 and TuneIn Radio app. So you have been listening to Senior Moment, and we come on every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, you've just heard Senior Moments with Millie and CC. Be sure and join them every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Now the next show up is Scatter's Old School Jam. So sit back and relax as we go back to the 60s, 70s, and 80s with some old school music.
She still got it? Oh, okay. She went back to her father. Somebody left this. Yeah. I use stuff all the time and you call them. You'll get a call or it'll be there until they come back. Is she gonna be here this summer? She is. She with her dad now. The reason I had her last week is because he worked days last week, and he didn't want her staying at home by herself. And